Hello everybody, welcome to another edition of the goddamn Q&A. Thanks for joining. As usual, it is my pleasure to have you here. This is your favorite host of all time, Erick, Landon, RPG. And there's no one right now on the chat. I don't know why we feel whenever I've seen a lot of other streamers do this, they kind of like wait for people to join the chat to feel that there's someone out there actually watching them. Because right now, there's two people. Awesome. But when we click the button, start streaming, nothing happens. Because there's always a delay that you guys get like 20 seconds later or 30 seconds later after the stream. So what I'm saying right now, you will get it in the near future in 15, probably 20 seconds from now. So it's a delay. Even when I end the stream, when I conclude the streams, I click end the stream and then I'm gone and you're still seeing me for the next 15 seconds. Isn't it weird how streaming works in 2022? Anyway, it's been 1 minute since the stream started and there's no one in the chat. It's a psychological thing. We need to kind of like wait for people to join, start seeing some comments in the chat to really feel like, oh, there's people out there watching me, Anyway, to whoever's watching right now without typing anything in the chat, welcome. So, how is everybody? How's the World Cup? Let's pretend that I care about the World Cup. Let's pretend that my country lost miserably to everybody, I think. I don't even know what's going on. I stopped caring about the World Cup a long time ago. FIFA means shit to me. I think it was 1994 when I watched Mexico lost to Bulgaria, I think. I was like 9 years old. I was 9 years old, man, and that's the moment when I saw Mexico lost. Mexico losing, to Bulgaria. Not that there's anything wrong with Bulgaria. Hope you Bulgarians out there don't get offended. But I don't know why I felt, kind of like, man, disappointed. Like my country couldn't make it to the last places, to the last, how do you say that in English? To the last rankings, to the last 8 or 4 places in the tournament. So I was like, man, my country sucks. Yeah, it's never won a single World Cup in the past. Not even close. I think the closest it got was in the 70s or 60s. I have no idea. It got a little bit close, but not close enough. So yeah. What about you guys? Do you guys care about the World Cup? Have you been watching it? Have you been following it? That's too loud. Jesus. That song is from Dusk Diver. This game right here. Great music. That song plays over and over again. It's pretty cool. I like it. Thank you, Geese. Yeah, so all I heard is that Mexico lost to Argentina and that's it. I don't even know if it's been disqualified or I don't give a shit. Like I said, I don't care about sports. I was just a little kid when I stopped caring about them. I remember, I used to care about lucha libre when I was a little kid. Football. I mean, football as in soccer. You call it soccer in some places, but it's actually football. And the real football. I like basketball, but I don't know. It's just gotten my teens and I stopped caring, When I was 11 or 12 years old, I didn't give a shit about any sports whatsoever. I cared back then about music, about video games, of course. Slowly, I started caring about books, little by little. And movies later, series much later, I think my main interests when I was like 12 years old was music and video games. Yeah. When I was 12 years old, we had a Super Nintendo. Everybody else had the PlayStation. Yeah, everybody else had the PlayStation. It was 1997 when I was 12 years old. and everybody else had the PlayStation, the Nintendo 64. The Dreamcast was around the corner, 1 year apart. My family, we only had the Super Nintendo and an abandoned NES in a box in a closet. Yeah, we were that type of family, I'm pretty sure back then a lot of you were the same. That like you had the NES and then you got the Super Nintendo and then the NES, was forgotten. Left abandoned inside a box, never to be touched again. Same with the Game Boy. Some of you got the Game Boy Color and fuck the Game Boy. Or people got rid of their NES to get a Sega Genesis or something like that. Did any of you get the TurboGrafx 16 when you were kids? I mean, if you did, you're probably my age, around my age, on your mid-30s to 40s. I never got a TurboGrafx 16. I didn't even know it existed, until I was an adult. I swear, when I was like 20 years old, I only knew Nintendo, Microsoft, and PlayStation. Oh, and Neo Geo. And that was it, I didn't know anything about TurboGrafx. I knew Atari, but I didn't know that there was an Atari Jaguar. Or, I never knew there was, what's the name of this one? All those portable systems, that never came out of Japan. Like the, I gotta forget the name. You know which ones I meant. Damn, it's the tip of my tongue, man. Well, WonderSwan. Yeah, I never knew any of those systems, I just knew Nintendo, Microsoft, and PlayStation, and Neo Geo. I never had a Neo Geo, but of course I knew the arcade machines, right? In fact, it took me a long time to find out that their Neo Geo had a console, home console of its own. I thought Neo Geo was just arcade machines, and that's it. I didn't know, there was this home console, for TVs until I was an adult. Yeah, I spent half of my life in video game ignorance. I didn't know all those obscure and underrated systems. Thanks for joining, everybody. Glad to have you guys here. You're 24 and your childhood was PS2. That's interesting because I'm starting to see... I've been seeing this since the last year. I've been starting to see a small, slow increase on interest on the PlayStation 2, which is a good thing. I didn't grow up with the PlayStation 2, but it is my favorite console of all time. The PlayStation 4 is a very close second. I love the PlayStation 4. Fucking love it. And the PS Vita / PS TV. Thank you, interlocutor. And welcome to my... Oh man, I've been forgetting to upload that interview. Over and over and over again. It's been months and I keep forgetting. I promise I will anytime soon. Yeah, I'm happy that some people are starting to appreciate the PlayStation 2, the Wii, and those consoles a little bit more because it's about time, goddammit. Nobody cared. A few years ago, nobody cared because all of you who grew up with those consoles, were 15 years old. You just didn't care about video games that much, or you did, but it wasn't you didn't. I don't know. Maybe you didn't have a source of income enough to start buying games or collecting stuff or getting into video games more seriously, more passionate about it, which is good. That means most of my PlayStation 2 videos will keep going up in views. Because the only ones that are up there, are the ranking, the tier list that I did. The top 50. My initial slideshow from like 8 years ago, that's awesome. So yeah, I grew up with the NES. I grew up with the Super Nintendo, the Game Boy, and that's it. I didn't get my first PlayStation 1 until I was 20 years old. A friend from high school sold it to me with a bunch of pirated copies. And there was only one original copy, a soccer game. I don't remember the name. It was David Beckham's whatever soccer, on the PlayStation. Terrible game. Shit. Terrible game, yeah. But that's how I found out about all those Resident Evil games, and then I started getting into RPGs and the rest. Anyway, so on to your damn questions. I rarely see any action figures in your background. Do you collect or do you have some collections? Nope. I don't collect any action figures. I used to not collect them, just own them when I was little. And I still have a bunch of them on a small box. I have even more, but my mom got rid of some of them. And only a small batch survived for some reason. And the only ones that I got here are like, this is from an artist. This is Venom. And, I don't know, Quistis, you've seen Quistis over there, she's right here. But no, I don't really collect figures anymore. I stopped doing that like 25 years ago. Yeah, I don't really collect them, I just don't care enough, I guess, All I care is about collecting JRPGs. And I've been saving for years, to buy a house or at least an apartment. And I got these close this year to buy one, and the measurements were wrong and the bank said no. It got frustrated, that's why some people think that I was going to move. Because I was, but I didn't. I'm still in the same freaking house. I'm about to, well, it's almost 2 years since I moved here to this house and since I came back from Canada. Well, it's already been 2 years since I came back from Canada. Yeah. So I wish I could collect more stuff, I about a year ago, I wanted to start collecting CDs. I have a bunch of CDs in my collection from... I started buying CDs, music CDs, when I was like 12 years old, 11 years old. I remember my first CD compact disc. My first was a Bon Jovi album. I'm not a fan of Bon Jovi, but I was back then when I was a little kid, Slippery When Wet. Slippery When Wet. That was the name of the album. Bon Jovi's third album, I think. The one with Living on a Prayer. Bon Jovi's most famous song, I think. And that was the first album that I bought with my own money. And then I got Insomniac by Green Day. I love that album. I'm not a Green Day fan anymore. I just like their stuff from the early 90s, mid 90s, and that's it. But that's a band that I was really a fan of. So I wanted to start collecting more CDs, but instead I decided to play it smart and just save and save and save as much as I can to buy a house or an apartment. And yeah, hopefully I'll get someplace soon. I found a house about 2 weeks ago, but someone beat me to it. Great house, amazing house, man. I was like, shut up and take my money. But the house was in the middle of nowhere. I was like, man, I don't have a car. It will probably surprise you guys to know that I don't have a car and I don't even know how to drive. So to get to that house, I was going to have to buy a car because there's just no way to walk there. It's far away, and it's in the middle of nowhere. There's some, farms in there at the very back, The place is really nice, like in a small private location, but everything around it is like really old, like in the outskirts of that place. I was like, man. So someone beat me to it and bought the house instead of me. What a bummer. But I was like, man, I just can't deal with the idea of having to buy a car. But enough about my personal life. Hey, Glenn. You don't have a car in Canada? I don't live in Canada. I lived in the past 2 years ago in Canada. And I didn't have a car there. But I lived in a small town called Belleville. You didn't really need a car. The majority of where I lived in a place where everything was close by, 10 to 15 minutes walk, to everywhere, to the malls, to the stores, to the supermarkets, to the video game stores. Yeah. I don't live in Canada anymore. I lived in the past. Anyway, which Xbox exclusive JRPG should I pick up? I have bad news for you. I don't think there is a single JRPG exclusive to the Xbox. There's a bunch of RPGs, I think, exclusive to the Xbox, but I have no idea. But, well, what system do you have? There's a bunch of exclusives on the Xbox, the first one, and on the Xbox 360. But Xbox One and Xbox Series X don't have a single JRPG that's exclusive to them, as far as I'm concerned. There may be some indie RPGs exclusive to it, but no. But if you're talking about exclusive on the Xbox 360, there's what's there? There's this masterpiece that you've probably seen me recommending a lot. And if you buy this, you can play it on the Xbox One, physical or digital. I'm not too sure, but this is exclusive to the Xbox 360 because a lot of the great JRPGs on the 360 were also released on the PS3. Or the PS2, like Star Ocean: The Last Hope, Eternal Sonata, Nier. What else? This is another exclusive on the Xbox 360 that's really good. This is Infinite on Discovery. It's no masterpiece, and it takes a while to get used to it. At the beginning, you're going to be like, oh man, this is kind of convoluted. But it's a Tri-Ace game, Tri-Ace. Those guys are known for their complex gameplay mechanics, but you get used to it pretty quickly. And there's an easy mode. The easy mode is pretty okay at the beginning. Later, when you learn how to really control your characters and how to fight, easy mode is too easy. But you can always change it to normal. But I suggest playing these on easy for the first missions, to get used to the controls and everything. It's a pretty good game. Another one that's pretty good, exclusive to the Xbox 360 is Blue Dragon. This is not the best Xbox 360 RPG. This is by, same as Lost Odyssey, this is by Mistwalker. And, Hironobu Sakaguchi, when he left Square Enix and started making, JRPGs on his own with his own company. Art style character design by Akira Toriyama. That's why it looks a little bit like Dragon Quest. This is pretty much Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest's child. They got married and got this game instead. This is their child. Final Fantasy meets Dragon Quest. It's Blue Dragon. However, because the expectations shot up to the roof back then, everybody was expecting the ultimate masterpiece, like, wow, Akira Toriyama, Hironobu Sakaguchi, music by Nobuo Uematsu, holy shit, it's gonna be wow. And to be completely honest, it's a humble, simple story, a classic storytelling with classic narrative, classic turn-based, the cactus can summon these giant shadows and attack their enemies and all that jazz, so... yeah, there's nothing really that special, and for some people, not for me, for some people it was a disappointment of a game, and I still recommend this game, but it's just not the masterpiece everybody was expecting it to be, but it's solid, What else, exclusives, I think that's it. There's Operation Dark. Oh, there's Spectral Force, that's right. These are pretty obscure games. Spectral Force 3. You don't need to play Spectral Force 1 and 2, which are on the PlayStation, I believe, to understand this one. This is standalone. Multiple routes and endings, strategy RPG, great base, great for beginners. It's pretty balanced, you start playing this game from the start, and what the... blah, 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 blah. Anyway, Spectral Force 3, great game, and for beginners. The first several hours are very easy, pretty easy, so, it's a great game. And this is Operation Darkness, but I'm not sure if I can recommend this one. It's another strategy RPG, but this is brutally hard, and I never finished it. It beat the fuck out of me, and I never finished this game. It's so freaking hard. But these two are still exclusive to the 360. Yeah, that's it. Those are the ones I recommend exclusive to it. As for the Xbox, the original, the first one, there's no JRPGs in there. There's some games that are kind of like JRPGs. Like there's this game that I've recommended in the past called Blackstone, Magic and Steel. And that's a bit of a Gauntlet clone, Baldur's Gate clone. It plays very similar. It's influenced by those games. And there's some strong RPG elements, but there's barely any story. It's a type of game you want to play with someone else because it has a 2-player co-op mode. So it's a bit of an action RPG. And it's good. It's good, I do recommend it, just don't expect it to be wow, wow, no. Yeah, the Xbox was a huge disappointment in JRPGs. The 360 got really good, and then Xbox One, it has a lot of great JRPGs, but all of them are in the PlayStation 4, PS5, or other systems, But yeah, 360, those are the exclusives ones that I recommend. Did you ever beat Sorry guys, back to your questions. Did you ever beat the original Disgaea game? No, I never did. I got far into it on the PlayStation 2. I'm hoping to get back to that game one day to visit one of the modern versions, the Switch one or the PS4 one. I'm done with the PS2 version. I'm never touching that freaking game again, you know. Brutally hard for me, you know. I was just... Well, it wasn't that hard. It was just more the fact that I was too lazy to grind or go to the item world and get the best items and equipment. I'm just... I didn't want to do that, you know. It's not that hard if you know what to do, you know. If you grind enough or if you focus on just a few characters, if you visit the item world, there's several ways to break the game and make it extremely easy. But I was just too lazy to do that. I wasn't really loving that game so much, enough to make me go and do that. So no, I don't think I'll ever go back to the original Disgaea. Have you played Parasite Eve? Yes, I do. Yes, I did. I have, and I think it's a masterpiece. It didn't age very well, to be honest. It aged poorly in some areas. Navigation controls, you know, the battle system aged really good. But yeah, the polygons, you know, looked like shit. You know, it didn't age well, Parasite Eve. But back then it was a masterpiece, and I'm a big fan of it, the first one. Have you finished Relayer? No, I don't have Relayer. I only played the demo, which is like 9 hours long. 10 if you do a couple of side quests that are there. You know, really long ass demo. So I don't own the game, so I obviously haven't finished it. But I mean, 10 hours? That's more than enough to say if a game is good or not. So it is really good. It's very, very repetitive because the map design is the same. It's just a giant board, grid-based board. And there's no obstacles, and there's no real creativity in map and mission design. That's what a lot of people complain about, but I don't know, you know, I'm a sucker for strategy RPG, so of course I love the game, and, you know, I'm hoping to get it one day, but right now, it's freaking Black Friday, me. I only got 2 games. What games did you get this Black Friday, guys? You know, I only got 2 games. I got Nier Replicant on the PS4, and Astria Ascending. That's an international game. Some Japanese developers, some Italian, some European developers worked on the game. So I got Astria Ascending and Nier Replicant, the PS4 remake remaster, and both for $50, shipping included, because Amazon Prime, you know. And that's all I got. I want to get something else. Sakuna of Rise and Ruin. We're listening to the music of that game right now. I only own it digital, Sakuna of Rise and Ruin. And there's this limited edition, well, if you live in Mexico, I'm not sure if this limited edition on the PS4 is available for that price in the US or anywhere else. You know, but here in Mexico it's $38, you know, shipping included if you have Amazon Prime. And it's pretty cheap. I'm tempted to get it, but I kind of want it to be 35, not 38, just 35, like 700 Mexican pesos. You know, because that's a lot of money. I mean, well, I guess nowadays it isn't, right? I mean, $30 nowadays is freaking cheap. Because I come from an era where $30 was freaking expensive. I was like, I remember the good old days, man, when like I was at the flea markets, you know, or at video game retro stores, and we saw a game where it was like, this game is $25. Oh man, that's expensive, man. Oh, get the fuck out of here, man. Come on, man. You're trying to rip people off. 25, you're crazy. Because all the other games were like $10 or $15, you know. And nowadays, 25 is cheap as fuck. Huh. Freaking inflation. But yeah, that's all the other 2 games that I got on Black Friday. Hoping to get them next week. Well, I think I'm gonna get Astria Ascending next week. And if you know Astria Ascending, let me just show the cover real quick. While you listen to Sakuna music. Yeah, this is the one. It's gonna show up in my face right now. Oh, there you go. Can you see it? So that's Astria Ascending, published by Maximum Games. Turn-based RPG, international. You know, I think the writer is the same guy who co-wrote Final Fantasy VII. And there's this musician, Hitoshi Sakimoto, Final Fantasy Tactics, you know the guy, of course. So that's it. That's the game that I got. So obviously you're probably gonna see me talking about it one of these days. Anyway, so and that's it. That's it. You know, I didn't get Relayer. Oh, Sakuna on Switch is right now. Let me double check. I won that game, you know, but I'll explain why I'm not willing to pay its price right now. Sakuna of Rise and Ruin. Okay, so the special edition is there for 766 Mexican pesos. That's like $38. You know, the special edition. If you live in Mexico and you're watching me right now, you know, that's a great price for a limited edition. It's a special edition. Divine edition it's called. The Switch version is $50. 999 pesos with 99 cents. That's $50. Too much, and that's the standard edition. Oh, there's more. Wait. Oh, if I buy it from the US, if I import the game, it will cost me $25, $26. Well, 25 and a half for the Switch version. You know what? It's just on several occasions I've seen the PS4 limited edition of Sakuna of Rise and Ruin for like $30-something. So I'm hoping one of these days it'll go down to just 35. That's as much I'm willing to pay for it, so I want it. The reason why you're probably thinking, wow, I mean, that's a steal, you should get it right now. The reason why I don't buy games on that price is because I already own them digitally. So I'm buying the same game twice. Sure, now I'm owning the game physically, you know, and it's a special edition, no less. But I am that guy, I'm just that guy, you know, who hates buying the same game twice. You know, Soul Hackers 2 went down in price. I think I saw it for like, and this was before Black Friday for no reason. As soon as Black Friday started, its price went up to $50, the PS4 version. But before Black Friday, for some reason, the game was like $32, and I didn't get it because I own the game on the PS4 digitally. Sure, I don't really 100% own the game, but it's there. I can play it anytime, you know. So why am I going to pay $35 for a game that I already own? So yeah, if I'm gonna get Soul Hackers 2 or Tales of Arise, I own it digitally because of the review codes. So if I get it, I'm not gonna pay $40 for a game that I already own physically. You know, that's just my philosophy. You know, that's just how I do things. You know, I'm in no. That just means I'm in no hurry to buy those games because Tales of Arise is probably gonna go down in price considerably in a couple of years. It's gonna be $10, you know. So am I in a rush to collect Tales of Arise when I already own it digitally and I can play it in time? No, right? That's my philosophy. Like I said, but with games like Nier Replicant and Astria Ascending, I don't own them physically or digitally, so I'm buying them. I'm paying $25 for each because I want to play them and I want to talk about them. That's just my philosophy. That's the fourth time I'm saying that. I know that. But yeah, I just don't like buying games that I already own. Even if they are digital, you know, I've let go several opportunities in the past because I used to think the same with emulation. I was like, man, I can emulate all these games for free. Why the hell am I gonna buy them? You know, but back then I was paying $10 for each game, $20, and I was a reseller back in the day. So I got a lot of deals, of course. People selling me entire collections, you know, for like $200 in 2 or 3 games out of that in that collection were precisely $200 or $300 each, you know. So yeah, but times have changed. Inflation fucked everything up. Pandemic fucked everything up. So right now, you know, I'm taking care of my money, and like I said before, you know, I'm trying to buy a house, buy my own place. Been saving money for years, and I want to focus on that instead of just buying games galore that I already own digitally. Nier Replicant and Astria Ascending, you know, I'm going to talk about them. You know, I'm not just buying them as a hobby, you know, just to play them for my pleasure, you know. I'm also buying them because this is my job. I'm going to talk about it and make money out of them. So that means I'll probably get them for free. Anyway, so yeah, that's why I don't buy certain games, even though they're crazy cheap or considerably cheap or at a fair price, you know. Let's continue on with your questions. What's the difference between Italian and Spanish? There's a lot of differences, you know. We have different words, similar words, but the majority of our speech and mannerisms, you know, or the words we use are completely different. They use a different type of Latin language, and we use another one. That's it, you know. Do you know how to find an ID card to pass 2 guards in a snow city in Tales of Destiny? Oh man, I played Destiny a long time ago. I don't remember, man. Look it up online. How was Soul Hackers 2? I thought it was an excellent game. I think people were expecting... I mean, if you compare Soul Hackers 2 to Shin Megami Tensei 5, of course Soul Hackers 2 is lacking. I don't know, you know, I think people were expecting the game to be wow, to blow their minds away, and to beat Shin Megami Tensei 5 out of the throne, and be just as great and whatever. It wasn't, you know, they just don't know that it's Soul Hackers, it's a sequel to Soul Hackers on the 3DS and Sega Saturn, you know, so I don't know what the fuck people were expecting that game to be. To me, it was an excellent game. Maybe because I kept my expectations to the minimum, but I really enjoyed Soul Hackers 2. I wasn't addicted to it, you know, but I thought it was a great game. I really recommend Soul Hackers 2. It's no masterpiece, but it's really, really good. And it's very friendly, you know. I think Soul Hackers 2 is a fantastic entry for people into Shin Megami Tensei, because usually the series is known for being hard and challenging. Soul Hackers 2 on normal mode, I beat the game on normal. On normal mode, it's not easy, but it's balanced. It's manageable, you know. And it's one of those games where there's no difficulty spikes. Sure, there's a few challenging bosses in the game, but nothing that's like, oh, fuck this boss. No. At least not in my case. But maybe take this from someone who's played Shin Megami Tensei since I was like 20 years old. So I know my way around it. You know. But yeah, it's a fantastic game. I do recommend it. What games are you looking forward to coming in December? None, you know, of course I'm curious about Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core, the remake. I don't know if I'll get a code for that, but you know me, I'm not a fan of the original on the PSP, but I kind of want to play it just out of curiosity. Maybe I'll love it, maybe I'll end up loving it, I don't know. And there's Romancing Saga coming up in like 3 days, December 1. The remaster, but I already own the original on the PS2 and I'm fine with it. I'm kind of curious also to see what it's like. But that's it. What else is coming out in December? What else? I think that's it, right? Can I stream Steam or emulated games legally? Sure, I do. I've done it before. Yeah. I live in Mexico, man. We don't give a shit about emulation being legal or illegal. You know. I know you wouldn't answer these questions. No, man, I haven't played Harvestella, so I have no opinion on it. Oh man, Sakura Wars, how awesome, on the PS2. Are you updated with the Euden Chronicles updates? Not really. I don't want to know anything about the Euden Chronicle until next year. I'm gonna ask someone for a review code, and if they give it to me, awesome, and if they don't, go fuck yourselves. Are you gonna play One Piece Odyssey? No, I'm not really interested. Have you played Live Alive? Alive! I played only a little bit of the Super Famicom fan translated version, and then I played the demo of the remake. And I enjoyed it, you know, I'm actually... Live Alive was one of the games that I was looking for this Black Friday, but it didn't go down in price. So I'm just gonna keep waiting until the price drops. You know what game I want a physical version of it? Fuga Melodies of Steel. God damn it, it's been a year and a half since that game came out and no physical version yet. Fuck. I mean, I have the game digitally, but yeah. Chained Echoes is coming out in December. Let me look it up. What the hell is that? I don't even know what the hell is that. Chained It's gonna be on Switch, PS4, everything. Oh yeah, it came out. The Steam version came out last year, apparently on Steam. Or okay, no, it says this December 2021, and over here it says December 2022. What the fuck? The era of misinformation. Oh, it was a Kickstarter. Let me just take a look at the images. Oh, it looks yeah, retro style, kind of like a Kemco RPG, to be honest, with a little bit more money and budget. Yeah, it looks interesting. You know, PQ Entertainment's, I think they're gonna send me a code for a game called. Give me one moment. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. It's coming out on December 9. It's called Adventure Academia, The Fractured Continent. This is done by the same developers who made Class of Heroes on the PSP a long time ago. You know, these games. I don't know if you've heard of these games. These are dungeon crawlers in first person. To be honest, they're very generic. I'm not sure if I can recommend. I mean, they're good, okay? If you like dungeon crawlers in first person with generic parties, like Etrian Odyssey on that vein, you know, then yes, this might be your type of game. So, but this is not going to be a turn-based RPG. This is going to be a strategy RPG. And so, wow. And I saw the trailer, and it looks kind of generic, you know, but it's a strategy RPG, so of course I'm going to give it a chance. Anyway, so yeah, they're going to send me a code for that. Let's see if it's any good. I just asked for a review code for Tactics Ogre Reborn. Yeah, I finally made up my mind. And I'm like, okay, you know what? Yeah, it's been 2 weeks, but I'm curious. I want to try it out. Okay, so I'll give it a try if I get the code. If I get the code, right? And Tactics Ogre, it's brutally hard game. It's original versions. However, I'm not sure if this Reborn, because this is the remaster of the remake, and I'm not sure if it's if it has an easy mode or if they rebalance the difficulty. I have no idea. Do you have a list of all RPGs and its platform with your rating? I do have a list of all RPGs released on JRPGs released on every single console that I often use to create my lists for my top 10s and whatnot. But I have several tier list videos, ranking, rating videos, you know, on a lot of consoles, a lot of them. Just type, I don't know, open up a YouTube tab, a new tab, open YouTube, type Erick Landon PS2, and you'll see a video with all JRPGs released on the PS2 ranked on a tier list. A JRPG series with the best combat system. My favorite combat system comes from Suikoden and Fire Emblem, so those will be my picks. What are you currently playing? I'm playing Utaware Rumono Prelude to the Fallen, which is the first one. I don't recommend playing the first one last, like I did. Don't do that. Play them in order. Utaware Rumono is a series you want to play in order. You want to play Prelude to the Fallen first, then Mask of Deception, and then Mask of Truth. You know, because it's one is a sequel to the other, you know, and so on. Mask of Deception and Mask of Truth are impossible to play. Well, you can't just jump into Mask of Truth without having played Mask of Deception. That's just stupid. It's like playing Trails in the Sky second chapter before playing the first chapter. Prelude to the Fallen is another story with other characters, but a lot of the story from this game affects the story in the other two games. A lot of the characters are there, and Mask of Truth spoils a lot of really important events that happen in Prelude to the Fallen. So I recommend starting with the first game, which is Prelude to the Fallen. You can find it on PS4 digitally. The physical version is rare and expensive, and it's also on the PS Vita. So you need to. Man, I don't want to talk about what I went through a couple of days ago, trying to download the game and play it on the PS TV, my hacked PS TV. Pain in the ass, but it's worth it. That's what I'm currently playing, and I'm also playing this game. I restarted this game for the third time. Now I'm really, dedicated to it. This is Hero Saga Leviathan Tactics on a Nintendo DS. I'm only an hour and a half in, but I've talked about this game before, but I don't talk about it too often because I've never finished it. But yeah, this is a strategy RPG, pretty unique, pretty different, but that's what I'm currently playing. I don't know if I can safely recommend this game, like really, really strongly recommend it. I don't know yet. Don't ask me. Any modern JRPGs with a material-like system like Final Fantasy VII? Yeah, the Trail series, they have this orb system, and there are different orbs with different magics and different whatever and whatnot, And then there's a Diofield Chronicle, when you can equip these orbs as well, these spheres, and that you can use to use magic, but you can equip them to summon creatures like Bahamut, like giant creatures, There's only like 6 or 7 creatures total, I think. Yeah. How would you like a Final Fantasy tactical RPG with the gameplay of Fire Emblem and the storytelling of Chrono? That wouldn't be possible because Final Fantasy Tactics was created precisely to compete against Fire Emblem, so it would be stupid for Square to do a Final Fantasy game, a Final Fantasy tactical game that is not Final Fantasy Tactics 2 or 3. Tales of Legendia music. Let me turn it up. Just wondering, will you play an RPG with hentai genre? Sure, I've seen some. Speaking about Utawareru Mono, the original game, I think it has some explicit scenes. It originally came out in 2002 for PC, but every other single version that came out after that, all of its ports to consoles, they removed all of that explicit content, but I'm not sure, I will play it as long as the girls don't look that so young. Because, Japan is fucked up. It's fucked up. I don't know why. But, yeah, I will play a hentai RPG. Why not? As long as it doesn't have, overly sexualized little girls, I just fucking can't stand that. How many physical games do you currently have? Probably around 300 and something. I barely bought anything this year. I think I bought like 3 games and that's it. I don't know if you missed my previous Q&As. I think you were there, But yeah, I think I've said it before that I kind of stopped collecting. Prices became stupid and I'm just not enjoying collecting anymore. What's an original game you're currently hunting for? A lot of them, I was just talking about the deals that I got on Black Friday, a couple of them that I bought. But I'm still hunting games like Yakuza Like a Dragon. It went down in price. I saw it for $22, but I don't want to pay more than $20 for it. There's a bunch of games that I'm hunting, Sakuna of Rise and Ruin, ones that I own digitally. I kind of want to have them physically, but I'm going to wait until the price drops. What do you think about streaming? Streaming making games easy for new players? What do you mean? I'm not sure I understand that question. What do you mean? Top 10 best JRPG endings will be nice? Maybe. Yeah, the fact is that a lot of people don't watch those videos because of the spoilers. I've been asked to do top 10 best JRPG endings, top 10 best final bosses, top 10 best plot twists, but they're all, how am I going to explain them without spoiling, I did one called, that I want to make a series of it, it's called Best JRPG Boss Battles Ever, but to explain why they were so epic, it's called Epic JRPG Boss Battles, and I had to spoil a little bit, and the video didn't do very well in views, so, yeah. What are your thoughts on Astral Chain? I made a review of it. It's it doesn't have a separate review like a lot of games. It's called 5 RPGs I want to talk about, and I talked about the Astral Chain for like 5 minutes in there. If you want to check it out, my full thoughts are on there. But in a nutshell, I think it's an excellent game. It's a pain in the ass to get used to it. It takes a while. during the first several hours, I was like, man, I was struggling with the control so bad. It's such a complex game, but it's worth it. Once you get used to it, it's worth it. It's a very good game. Which JRPG, if you could say one or top three close to your heart or love? Well, obviously my favorites, I have Chrono Cross, Valkyrie Profile 2, Grow Lancer Heritage of War, all those games are amongst my favorites. Nier, the original Nier, Ys 8 and 9, Dot Hack GU, the trilogy, Tales of Legendia, my favorite, Tales of Berseria. There's a lot of them, man. But if I could only pick three, I will probably pick Chrono Cross, Valkyrie Profile 2, and Grow Lancer Heritage of War. I think those three games are my all-time favorite JRPGs. Top 10 most original JRPGs. I already did that some time ago. It's not called original, it's called the most unique JRPGs ever. You might want to check it out. Why did you write Seven Shadows? Okay, so I'm assuming you're asking that question because the book is very edgy, and the main character is like a bitch. I love her, but I think I wrote that story many years ago. I just never published it until 7 years ago. But obviously, when I wrote that little story, I was really pissed off, and I was wondering one day, what would I do if I were to take revenge on the people that hurt me the most, on the people that kind of like not ruined my life, but the characters in Seven Shadows, they ruined Alice's life. These people didn't ruin my life. If anything, they shaped it, negatively, but it's because I went through those experiences that I'm now a better person, I'd like to believe. But I was very pissed off, and I was just wondering what will it be like if I were to just grab a gun or a sword and, head out and look for these people and just fucking kill them, man. So I wrote that story. That's why I wrote it. It's not everyone's cup of tea. I've seen people saying it's a bit of an immature book, that it's pretty much for teens. I've said it before, and the moment I started selling that book in gaming shows or anime shows, I always told people this is a game for like people who were angry at high school or middle school, people who have a bunch of people that be it bullies or people who betrayed them, or I don't know, friends, hell, maybe even ex-girlfriends or boyfriends, I don't know, or maybe Alice has a stepmother, that she fucking hates, so. I don't know. It's a book for angry teenagers. And I love it, Because I've seen a lot of adult people on their 30s complaining about it. It's like a game, like a book for kids. And well, yeah, it kind of is, I'm not saying adults won't be able to enjoy it. I know a lot of adults who enjoy the book and are big fans of it. But it's a book that was written precisely for angry teenagers. Even though the main character, Alice, she's on her mid-20s. But she's on her mid-20s because it took her a long time, her entire life, to get to that point. It was one breaking point after another, One character, I'm not going to spoil the book, one character broke her first, and then some years later another one, and then another one, and so on. So she got the seventh shadow. It was like that was like the breaking point, the total breakdown for her. She went nuts. She lost all reason, and she said, I have nothing to lose. I have no family, no friends, no life, and I'm full of hatred. And she just decides to, kill all these people that ruined her life. Yeah, it's a pretty intense book, but the way how it's written, it's written in such a spiteful way because the book was written from 2 points of view. Her point of view, there are several scenes where Alice narrates the story, and then there are several scenes where I narrate the story, speaking in third person. Like Alice went on and stabbed this guy with her sword, and then, the first person parts of the story are written from Alice's point of view and how she felt, and she's the one telling the reader, trying to justify her hatred and why she kills these people, And a common comment criticism that the book has is that whenever she starts, when she starts killing the people who ruin her life, it's like, why? I mean, why go through all that trouble just to kill that person that just did this to her? But you gotta read the whole book to understand how fucked up she is, and you need to finish the book and understand her past. I think it's a good book. If only people could appreciate it more, could read it from a different perspective, from a different point of view. You need to be a little bit more open-minded to read that book and enjoy it. But if you're reading a mature, if you think you're gonna read a mature book with adult situations and you're gonna really empathize with the character in it, no, that's not gonna happen. Just read the book with an open mind and remember all the people that pissed you off, that really hurt you in your life, and maybe you'll enjoy it. That's why I wrote Seven Shadows. Thanks for asking. When is your new book coming out? You mean the one that I'm translating to English? Probably next month. Because on March, it's gonna be my 10th anniversary as an author. In March 2013, I published my very first book. And I did a very limited print run. I only printed like 50 copies. Which were pretty much sold and distributed amongst family members and friends. Some random people bought it because the last copies I took them with me to conventions and shows and were sold there. When the majority of people don't know they have a really rare book on their hands. So now I'm gonna probably translate that book to English, which will be the definitive edition because I was never really happy with how the original book turned out to be in Spanish 10 years ago. Well, almost 10 years ago. So I kind of want to rewrite some stuff and now in English, and publish it next March. And I don't want that little book to compete with the Revenant Army, which is the one that I'm currently translating to English. Well, it's already translated to English. I'm just correcting the book and fixing a lot of the words and context. And it's probably going to be ready next month. Favorite Final Fantasy game that came out after 10? 12. Definitely. It's no masterpiece, but I think it's an excellent game. I really like Final Fantasy XII, even though it doesn't feel like a Final Fantasy game. It feels like a Yasumi Matsuno game. Yasumi Matsuno, the guy from Tactics Ogre and Final Fantasy Tactics. Are you trying to ask me to recommend some JRPGs for beginners? Or for new players? Because you're saying removing mechanics no one had an issue with, or just making a lesser version of the game before it for new players? It's just, you can do something like that. Every time I recommend JRPGs for beginners, I try to broaden the spectrum, because everybody is different, If I recommend a game like, I don't know, for example, this is a game that I've recommended for beginners. This is Magical Star Sign, pretty easy game, turn-based RPG. And, well, just look at this, it looks generic, it's not. It's a pretty cool game. And beautiful, the visuals, the graphics are beautiful. It's pretty much like a homage to 16-bit JRPGs, this one. And it's pretty good. It's pretty classic gameplay, traditional style. But a lot of people don't want that. Maybe a beginner or a new player wants something more modern, something different, something convoluted and complex. Maybe a newcomer to JRPGs will be able to enjoy a game like, I don't know, what's an overly complicated game nowadays? What's there? Probably, I don't know, maybe this game, right? Which is kind of complex, stuff like that. Maybe a person who plays Magical Star Sign is not gonna enjoy the game, but they will enjoy the heck out of Third and Sentinels, or it can also happen the other way around. Rhapsody is pretty great for beginners. Rhapsody is a pretty good game for beginners. I've included that game in JRPGs for beginners videos. It's pretty, but it's very easy. That's a game you might want to challenge yourself with and up it to not too hard. Normal mode is way too easy. But yeah, somebody who doesn't know anything about JRPGs, might be a good place to start. But the game is pretty cheesy, kind of, yeah, kind of silly, comedic. Do you think Magical Star Sign needs a remaster or a remake? Probably just a re-release on the Switch, maybe. Who are some of your favorite novel authors? Anne Rice, rest in peace. I'm not really a fan of any author in particular. I'm more of a fan of books, because I may mention some authors, but I don't like all of their books. Like, take Dostoevsky, for example. Dostoevsky, I don't know the name in English for his book, but it's like House of the Dead. Nothing to do with the games. House of Death, I don't know. I read it in Spanish. And wow, I really love that book, and it surprised me because the book takes place in a guy in a prison in Russia. The entire book, but it's just, I don't know. But then there's this, what's the name of his most famous work? This other book. I can't stand that book, man. I fucking hate it. It bores me. Every time I start reading it, it bores me to pieces, man. It's such a boring book. What's the name? Pride and Prejudice? No. Crime and Punishment? I don't even remember. Because I don't care for it. I hate it. So yeah, I'm more about the books than the authors. Because then if I say Anne Rice wrote a lot of books, but I only like the Vampire Chronicles. I don't like any of her Christian books that she wrote. Or any of those, yeah. Crime and Punishment, yeah. Oh my god, man, I fuck that book. But House of Dead, I love that book. War and Peace, no, man. I started reading it and I was like, it's a chore to read it. One of these days I'll make a video for my second channel showing my favorite books. It's been a request for some time. I still don't understand your question. The world may end. I bought Tales of Berseria. That's my first Tales game. What are your thoughts on it? I fucking love it. That game is my second favorite Tales game ever made. I love it. I think it's an amazing game. Have you played Batman Arkham Asylum? A little bit, I when I had a store, I got the PlayStation 3 version for sale. And I sold it, obviously, but I tried the game just to see if it worked. And I thought it was pretty good, There's a Steam sale right now. Yeah, and you might want to get the Uta Waterumono trilogy. I think it's right now it's pretty damn cheap and it is strongly recommended. Just keep in mind, they're visual novels, they're strategy RPGs too, but yeah, 70 or 80% of the time you'll be reading a lot. But the story's worth it. And if you encounter a bunch of scenes that are nonsensical slice of life dialogue, you can skip it. It doesn't affect the story. You don't miss anything. Which of your books should I read first? Well, I recommend, depending on what you like. I was just talking about Seven Shadows, and I just said that it's not everyone's cup of tea. But if you go to Amazon right now, every single one of my books has a preview. You can read the first 5 or 6 pages, I believe. And if you like what you read, well, then consider buying them, That's what I recommend. I don't know what kind of person you are or what kind of books do you like. Because all of my books are completely different, There's Terra Gaiden, which is pretty much a Fire Emblem inspired type of book. I wrote it like 10 years ago, so my English wasn't the best, and there's some sentences that are kind of weird and obnoxious in there. And there's a lot of descriptions in there. I carefully describe every character's clothing and appearance, But yeah, Terra Gaiden, if you like Fire Emblem or Suikoden, those types of stories, Terra Gaiden is inspired by them. And then there's the Reaper's Thorn, which is my favorite book and what I consider the best that I've ever written. But this is completely different, This is about the 19th century, and it mixes fiction with story, with facts, with history, with real history, events that happen in the UK, well, in England, back in the 19th century, the Gothic era, the Victorian era. This guy is the protagonist. Is chasing after a ghost, a wraith that you can see right on top of the Guadalajara Cathedral. It also takes place in Germany and Mexico and Switzerland and Luxembourg. Is that how it's called in English? Luxembourg. There you go. In Norway. I've never been in Norway. That's why I couldn't write much of it, of the parts that I wanted to write in Norway. But yeah, all of my books are like really freaking different, man. They have nothing to do with each other, you know. So yeah, I start with the one that catches your attention the most, I guess. There's Nick's Inferno too, you know. This was translated by yours truly last year. And this is an extremely bizarre, gothic, gore type of book. Very violent, about a mysterious red-haired, beautiful woman that you're seeing right now that just appears in front of a schizophrenic rabbit and tells the rabbit that she's out to destroy humanity, that wipe out humanity from the entire planet. You know, but it's really obscure, dark, bizarre, you know, it's complicated, hard to understand what the hell, you know, it's very abstract in some areas, very surreal, you know, it's weird, it's freaking weird. So you see, all of my books are like, they were written by different authors. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. It's just me. And the next one that I'm going to release next month, it's a translated version of a book that's also inspired by Fire Emblem and Suikoden. It's called The Revenant Army. Have you checked out Signalis? Nope. I checked out last night one called Tormented Souls, which is inspired by precisely Resident Evil and Silent Hill. It looked pretty cool, you know, it's $25, you know, I didn't buy it. But I'm gonna wait for the price to drop a little bit more, because that will be a blind buy for me. What's your order of favorite Star Ocean games? Oh, well, there's a really popular video that I made like 4 years ago with my personal ranking. But now that the Divine Force is out, you might be wondering where will I rank the Divine Force? Well, that's a game that I beat like a month ago, less than a month ago. So I loved it, and I still have the game in my head. So I may be very biased if I say that it's my favorite. You know, I need to digest it. I need some months or years to pass so I can really say or revisit the game one of these days and make sure that it's actually my favorite. You know, but I would put it up there, you know, with my favorites. The worst is definitely Star Ocean Integrity and Faithlessness, also known as Star Ocean 5. I still enjoyed the game, but it's not a great game, to be honest. And Blue Sphere will also be there. I never finished it. I kind of got bored. You know, I finished Integrity and Faithlessness, but Blue Sphere was kind of like, I don't know, something about it felt very generic. Still a fun game with tons of charisma and interesting music on the Game Boy Color, and it's fan translated. But I don't know, it was like, I was like, you know, those two are the worst. And then come the really good ones. I will probably choose next from worst to best. First, Departure. I played the PSP version. That's the one I finished. I've never touched the Super Famicom fan translated version. So I played the remake on the PSP, and I thought it was a great game. I loved it. You know, it's no masterpiece. It's not one of the best, but it's pretty solid. And then nowadays I will probably pick Till the End of Time, because it's a game that I really enjoyed the first time, but it took me a while to get used to it. The battle system is convoluted. I mean, once you get into it, you start appreciating it. And then there's the story. I think it's got the best story in the entire series. And I love Maria, the main female character. Freaking love her. She's my favorite character in the entire Star Ocean series. Yes, I like Maria more than Leticia or Elena. Before you ask. And then I have a problem. For the last three, which I consider the best Star Ocean games, are 2, 4, and 6. And right now I just can't choose. But those three are the best. I don't know which one is better, I might pick Star Ocean 2 out of nostalgia. I might pick Star Ocean 6 because the gameplay was more friendlier and no random encounters are there. I might pick 4 because I'm just a die-hard fan of it. And I've always stood up for it. I don't know. Right now I can't pick my number one, No pun intended, it edges ahead. Star Ocean the Divine 4 edges ahead. Edges it ahead. Yeah, I really enjoy the Divine Force. I know I bitched about the difficulty spikes, but whatever, I think it's a phenomenal game. I really, really liked the Divine Force. But I wouldn't say it's better or worse than the Last Hope or the second story. I think it's too soon to say. Are you going to play Octopath Traveler 2? Probably at some point, yes. Not on release date, but I will. Have you played Sword Art Online Fatal Bullet? No, I played the others. Sorry. I played all the others, they came out on the Vita and the PS4. I played them on the Vita, and I don't recommend those games on the Vita. They looked like shit. Play them on the PS4, but I'm not a fan. I didn't become a fan. Nah. Not a fan of Sword Art Online. You're gonna buy Front Mission Remake 1. I'm gonna ask for a review code. Don't know if I'll get it, but I'm not gonna buy it until it's like $20. You know me. I always wait no matter what. It's been 1 hour. Okay, I just picked up Lost Dimension on PS3. Any difference from the Vita version? You know what the irony is? The version that I played and finished was the Vita version, but the one that I own in my collection is the PS3 version. But I've only played the first hour, I think. So I don't know the differences, but I've heard that the PS3 version is easier than the one on the Vita. Other than that, I think it's the exact same game, right? There's pretty much no major differences other than that, I think. Favorite Final Fantasy bosses? I'm not too sure about that. I remember some that are very memorable, but because they're a fucking bitch. Like some of the ones in Final Fantasy 9, my god. The one that it's in the middle of a... Well, it comes out of the water, I think it's a grotto. That's the first real difficulty spike in Final Fantasy 9. Fuck that boss, man. But it's kind of epic, I hate that boss, but for some reason I'm always looking forward to fighting it. Because I know that I'm gonna have to grind for a little bit before fighting the asshole. That asshole, man. I don't know, I always felt the duel between Zidane and Amaranth was kind of interesting. Did you beat any of the 12-hour fight bosses in Final Fantasy 12? 12 hour? What are you talking? What do you mean? Who the fuck is gonna spend 12 hours fighting a boss? You know what? In Valkyrie Profile 2 Silmeria, there's a Seraphic Gate. It's a post-game dungeon. Extremely hard. And bosses have millions of HP. Okay, and I remember spending actually an hour and a half. I'll never forget it. 1 hour and a half fighting against the final boss of that dungeon. She's the ethereal queen. Holy shit, 1 hour and a half fighting that bitch, man. Yasmat? Yeah, Yasmat, but that's a story boss. That's not a secret boss. It's a story boss. I know you spoke in the past about playing Attack on Titan. Have you had a chance to play it yet? I haven't. And thank you for reminding me. I've been hunting that game. Let's see if it's on a Black Friday sale, because today's the last day, I think. I don't want to pay much for it because Attack on Titan, PS4, right? Oh, holy shit, man! It's $200. What the fuck, Amazon? Oh, in case you guys are interested, Sakura Wars on the PlayStation 4. It's $26. You should buy it. That's a strongly recommended game. Yeah, well, on Amazon, Attack on Titan is crazy expensive. I might look it up on other websites later, but I haven't played it. When 12 came out, I fought Yasmad over... No, then I didn't fight Yasmad. I was talking about Final Fantasy 9, not 12. What non-JRPG games have you played nowadays? I was just playing last night, no, 2 nights ago, International Superstar Soccer. I just played one game, you know. I love that game. It's the only sports game that I like on the Super Nintendo. I love it. You know, but for the past several months, I've been playing nothing but JRPGs. Probably because of my job, because of this YouTube channel. You know, a lot of big ones came out. Star Ocean, the Diofield Chronicle. I got into the Uta Warerumono series. I don't think I finished a single non-RPG in the past several months. Maybe I played for a little bit something like, I don't know, a fighting game, but that's about it. Have you played 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim? Yes, I have on the PlayStation 4, and I've recommended that game to death. I wish I knew Japanese so I could play the Japanese version, because the English translation by Atlus USA, it was great, you know, don't take me wrong, but they changed something just to appease a political audience, and I didn't like that. You know, there's a character in 13 Sentinels that in the original Japanese version, the character is just, it's a guy. A cute guy, but it's a guy, and he's just a cross-dresser. Oh no, but when the localization happened, they wanted to appease the non-binary audience, you know. I mean, why change that, you know? It's just... I hate when that happens, man. But other than that, it's an excellent game. I think it's an excellent game, 13 Sentinels, and I strongly recommend it. Yes, I'm still in Mexico. I've been here for the past 2 years. And thank you. You mean my congratulations on my book? Yeah, I've been pursuing the translation of Revenant Army the entire year, but I'm getting there. Gisamaluke, the boss in Grotto. Yeah, that sounds like the guy from Final Fantasy IX. What happened to Breath of the Wild? Oh, no, he's still there. I'm not sure if he's still a member. But he's still there, you know. Breath of the Wild is actually my friend. He's not just a fan and a supporter, you know. He's my friend. And he's the one who recently helped me into getting Uta Warerumono Prelude to the Falling work on my PS Vita, you know. What do you think about the whole Pokemon Scarlet and Violet debacle? I have no opinion because I've never given a shit about Pokemon. I don't care about it. Thank you, Yum Razon. Can you recommend top 10 RPGs released this year? I will. You're gonna have to wait a month. Of course, I'm gonna make my top 10 best JRPGs 2022 in about a month or so. Before Christmas. I promise. Yeah, I mean, it's just Atlus USA. Social Justice Atlus, we call them right now. Because they've made some changes in the past few years just to appease, you know, the LGBT audience. And it's like, why are you changing stuff that it wasn't like that in the original? And they've actually censored gay characters in the past. So make up your mind, Atlus. Who the fuck do you want to support? They're just playing both sides. Do you like the Diablo games? No, I don't. I played Diablo 2. Couldn't get into it. Diablo 3, it bored me after a while. At the beginning, I was pretty excited. I was like, oh, wow, this is pretty good. You know, but like an hour later, I was like, So no, is Scarlet Nexus any good? It is very good. It is excellent, like somebody's saying. It's kind of hard to get into it. It's kind of like Astral Chain. You know, every button in your controller does something different. You need to memorize everything, you know. It's hard to get into, but it's worth it. Scarlet Nexus is worth it. How skeptical are you with Final Fantasy 16? Well, I'm not a Souls fan. And it looks like it's gonna be a little bit like that. Like Souls meets Devil May Cry. That's how it looks, Final Fantasy 16. But I'm not sure, you know, I just don't really care about Final Fantasy anymore. You know, I'm not gonna play the game unless there's a demo or something. Atlus is weird. You know what? In these games, this was localized by Atlus like 5 years ago. And you know what? This game is full of F-bombs. Characters say fuck you in this game. Fuck you. Piece of shit, asshole. You know what? You very rarely see that, you know, in video games. And that's what I'm trying to say too. Like, Atlus is like... I don't understand them. I've never understood Atlus in my whole life, the localization, and it's just weird. Yeah, F-bombs. Let me see if I can find one right now. Oh, no, it's on a gameplay that I recorded, and it's still on the PS4. It's not there. I'm not going to be able to find. But yeah, there's F-bombs in there. Like, Atlus. Social justice Atlus. Sometimes these guys are like, you know, very conservative, and sometimes very liberal. Sometimes they care, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they say face, sometimes they are politically correct, and sometimes they're not. And things haven't changed since the inception of the company. I don't understand Atlus USA. Crisis Core, interested or a hard pass? I'm curious. It's not gonna be a hard pass. I'll probably ask for a review code, and if they don't send it to me, then I won't play the game. I'm not gonna buy the game. I don't care for it. You know, I'm curious, but that's as far as I go. I hope they release a demo of Crisis Core to see if it's any good. The demo will probably leave an impression on me, and I'll probably decide if I want to get it or not, or if it will be a hard pass, like you say. But I'm like, I want to play the game just to have an opinion, and maybe if it convinces me, I'll give it a try. Oh yeah, there's a couple of scenes from Persona 5 where Ryuji says fuck. Yeah, I remember them. You know, it's just weird, you know. I don't understand. It's like some one day a bunch of people is going to work on a localization of one game, and then for this other game, a bunch of other people is going to work on it. So there are different mindsets in there. I don't know. I don't understand, man. If I pick one to try, which should I first try? Sakura Wars or Scarlet Nexus? So listen, those two are among the best modern action RPGs in my opinion. But you gotta understand that Sakura Wars is more of a visual novel game. You'll be watching a lot of scenes and reading a lot and interacting with the girls, you know, because it's a bit of a harem. You need to bond with the female characters, you know, and all that jazz. It's a very good game. I really liked it. You know, amazing music. But if that doesn't sound like your type of game, go for Scarlet Nexus. It has more action than story. Great story and characters, you know, but it might be, you know, it just depends on what you're looking for, you know. I strongly recommend both games. But Sakura Wars is a visual novel action RPG, and Scarlet Nexus is just an action RPG. So if you don't want to deal with the reading and all that jazz, you know, go for Scarlet Nexus. I think it's a little bit cheaper. Do you watch DSP? I have no idea what that is. Any science fiction JRPGs? What do you mean? There's tons of them. Scarlet Nexus is one of them. Did you play Eastward? I know the game, but no, I haven't played it. I'm not a Pokemon fan. Every time somebody asks me about Pokemon, I can tell right away they're new to this channel. I don't care about Pokemon, and I don't care for Pokemon either. What do you think about all these upcoming Chinese games like Black Myth, Wukong, and others? I didn't even know they were coming until you mentioned them. Oh, you mean like space in the okay? So yeah, Scarlet Nexus still takes place in the. It doesn't take place. It doesn't take place in space. Well, there's the Star Ocean series. There's Xenosaga. Speaking about Xenosaga, we're listening to Xenosaga music right now. Xenosaga 3 music that takes place in space. There's Infinite Space. I don't recommend it, but who knows? Maybe you'll like it. You know, there aren't too many JRPGs that take place in space. Where you're traveling in space, you know, with a ship and visiting planets and shit. Never heard of DSP, man. Are you excited for Fire Emblem Engage? I'm curious about it. It looks like shit, to be honest. It looks like it's not Fire Emblem anymore. But I'll probably give it a try when the price drops considerably. Rogue Galaxy, you're right. That's a good one. That takes place in space. Space JRPGs. Top 10 JRPGs in space. Phantasy Star, all of them. Phantasy Star series. Oh yeah, Tri-Ace developed Phantasy Star Nova on the PS Vita. Never came out of Japan. It looks really good. I resent that, Sega. The fuck, Sega? What the fuck? Maybe, I don't know. Maybe Sega will localize Phantasy Star Nova on the PS4 or 5 one day. Yeah, when it comes to science fiction RPGs, probably the Xeno series and Star Ocean are like up here, you know. Like the best ones out there. It looks like Atelier Fire Emblem. Yeah, a little bit. Now, to me, it looks more like, I don't know, like Compile Heart Fire Emblem. Idea Factory Fire Emblem, I don't know. It looks really cheesy and colorful, man. It's just, I don't know. Oh, yeah, I heard Yuji Naka was arrested for trading stuff or something like that. Have you played any MMORPGs in your life? Yes, I did. I played many years ago Ragnarok Online, and then I played Gaia Online. I got addicted to Gaia for a period of my life, and it affected me, so I quit, and I haven't touched a single MMORPG ever since. They're dangerous for me. I don't play in them anymore. Is Scarlet Nexus for $20 on Steam a good deal? No, I'm gonna say no, because to me, paying $20 for a digital game is highway robbery. In my opinion, digital games shouldn't cost more than $10. I mean, you can buy Scarlet Nexus for $20 or $15 physically on the PS4 or the Xbox One. Did you go to a music college? Not college. It was an independent school. But yes, I did, and I only did the basic run, the basic training, you know. That's about it. I never went to college of any kind. I suck at school. Yeah, man, Scarlet Nexus is, I mean, why would you pay $20 for, or unless you only have Steam? If you don't have any consoles, like Xbox One or Switch, or, I mean, Scarlet Nexus is not on Switch, but PS4, you know. If you only have your computer, oh man, well, ask somebody else. Man, it's just paying $20 for a game that's dirt cheap physically on consoles, you know. That's just me, man. PSN Scarlet Nexus Ultimate Edition is $25. And what does the Ultimate Edition include? Sexy outfits? Some items? Starter's pack? Is action RPG feel like action game instead of RPG? Same with the what? Aren't physical games mostly priced low so they can earn from customers buying other things at the same time? Maybe. What do you think about the remaster of Romancing Saga Minstrel Song? I just talked about it a couple of days ago in a top 10. The game hasn't been released, and I don't have a code. I don't know if I'll play the remaster, but I think the original game on the PS2 is great. You just need a walkthrough to play it. Nobody understands Saga games without a guide. Those are games you need to play with a guide. because they're open world and you have no idea what to do in them. You're like, what am I supposed to do now? Where am I supposed to go? And Romancing Saga is just like that. So for those of you who are waiting on the remaster of Romancing Saga that's coming out in like 2 or 3 days, I strongly suggest you use a guide, because they're very cryptic, extremely cryptic. You know, but it's a Romancing Saga is a great game, man. Will you kind of consider Scarlet Nexus a sequel to Code Vein? No. No. It's more like Code Vein is the prequel to the God Eater series. It hasn't been confirmed by Bandai Namco or the developers, you know, but Code Vein ties a little bit into God Eater. So I think God Eater is the sequel. The trilogy of God Eater games are the sequel to Code Vein. But more like Code Vein is a prequel, but I know Scarlet Nexus, no. Plus, in gameplay mechanics, they're very different. Code Vein uses a Souls-like style of game, of battle system of combat, while Scarlet Nexus is its own thing. Code Vein for 12? You mean on Steam? Code Vein is a masterpiece, man. I mean, I love the game. If $12 is not that expensive for you for a digital game, then yeah, go get it, you know. What do you think of microtransactions in JRPGs? Oh, I hate them. I've never tried them, you know. Never used them. I don't give a shit for them, and I think they're garbage. That's why I don't play anything on phones. Oh, I see what you're trying to ask now. No, I think action RPGs are just that, action games with strong RPG elements, but they're still role-playing games. You know, you're role-playing them. Yeah. Oh, I never finished Romancing Saga 3. In fact, I don't think I've played it. I only played the first 2. I'm still a fan of Final Fantasy VIII. You know, it gets a lot of shit. Unfortunately, it does get some very well-deserved hate. Because goddamn that game. But I'm also a big fan of it. And it's not one of the best Final Fantasy games ever made. It's just not. But it's far from one of the worst. You know, I think the best ones are still 6, 7, and 9. Probably Final Fantasy VIII is up there, in my opinion, with Final Fantasy X and 12. 4. What do you think on the excessive amount of DLC of Cold Steel 3 and 4? Do you think Reverie will also have an absurd amount? Probably, you bet your ass, it probably will. Yeah. I don't care for DLCs, so... yeah. I've never paid a single penny for a single DLC in my life. Oh, there you go. Code Vein is less than $10. It's $9 on Steam. Yeah, buy it. That's a strongly recommended game. Which one of the God Eater games is the best one? 3, I think. 3, yeah. I think 3 is the best one. From what I understood, Code Vein is the far future of God Eater. You need to beat the game. Have you finished the game? If you beat the game, there's a scene at the very end where you see that it ties to God Eater. But yeah, there's no way to know if it's after God Eater or before God Eater. Bandai Namco has hinted that Code Vein might be a spiritual successor to God Eater, which means we will probably never see a new God Eater again. Because there's Code Vein now, and Code Vein 2 is now rumored to be in development. But the God Eater games, they're different from Code Vein. God Eater is a bit of a Monster Hunter inspired game. You go out and fight elite monsters and bosses over and over and over and over again. And they're very repetitive. You're not going to play God Eater for like 3 hours straight. Unless you're playing online with your friends, I guess. Offline story mode, you're not going to... I don't see anybody playing 3 hours. I mean, just fighting the same bosses. And it's just very repetitive. God Eater is extremely repetitive. But they're very good games, you know. Play them for 1 hour or 2 a day and you'll love them. Radioactive Cosmic Rays, thanks a bunch, man. Star Ocean 6 sales have been great for Tri-Ace. On PS, PlayStation, and PC. Was in the top 20 most purchased games last month, physical and digital. Yes! Yes, Tri-Ace. I don't want Tri-Ace to die, man. Anything you want in 7? Oh, it'll be a long time before we get Star Ocean 7. You know, we get Star Ocean games every 5 or 6 years. Except the first two. Because the first Star Ocean game came out in 1996. 2 years later, Star Ocean the Second Story. But then we didn't get another one. Well, we got Blue Sphere. Well, Japan got Blue Sphere in the Game Boy Color in the year 2001, I think. But that's not a mainline Star Ocean game. So the next mainline Star Ocean game was Till the End of Time. And it was released in 2004? 3. So 5 years later after the second story. 5 years after. And then we got The Last Hope in 2008. So once again it was 5 years. 2008, 2009, The Last Hope. So it was like 5, 6 years. And then Integrity and Faithlessness was in 2015. If I'm not mistaken, or was it 16? I can't find it, you know, but I think it was 2016. So it's once again, well, it was a little bit more this time. It was like almost 7 years later. And then 2022, 6 years later. Yeah, Star Ocean 7 is like, wow, man. A bunch of us are gonna be in our 40s when the game is released. Anyway, the one thing that I'm expecting from Star Ocean 7 is to not be politicized. That's all I ask. That's it. Just make it as good. We'll probably see a blue-haired protagonist this time because a lot of people haven't noticed this. But it's a trivia. A little piece of trivia in the Star Ocean series. There's the first game the protagonist has blue hair, and the second game the guy is blonde. The third game blue hair again. Fourth game the guy is blonde again. Fifth game blue hair. Sixth game blonde. Have you guys noticed that? You know, it's been there for a while. People started noticing that on Star Ocean The Last Hope. When the fourth game came out, that's when people started noticing, oh, you know, it's like a blue-haired guy, blonde, yellow-haired guy, you know. Blue hair, blonde, blue hair, blonde, blue hair, blonde. It's been that way for the past 6 games. You know, it's just a little piece of trivia. And I'm pretty sure they're very well aware of that. Tri-Ace knows that, and they're doing it on purpose, you know. And well, thank you, Tri-Ace. Congratulations, people have noticed. They know. It's always been like that. It's pretty interesting. I like that, you know. So Star Ocean 7 is probably going to have a blue-haired protagonist. Cool, huh? That's Star Ocean for you, you know. I like it when JRPG series have those little pieces of trivia that are common characters or common things or details, you know, that differentiate them from one another, or also that are like similar. Like every Star Ocean game has a Welch. And Welch, she's a character, and in some games she's playable, in others she isn't, and she's completely different in every single iteration, you know. In every single game she's different physical, but I think she's always the same voice actress, at least in English. The same voice actress for Welch. And I don't know, you know, I think Star Ocean is a pretty interesting series. I like it. But yeah, those are the that's the chronology, not the chronology like the release date chronology of every Star Ocean. They are released every 5 or 6 years or so. And that's a little trivia for you. Yeah, Star Ocean The Divine Force. Great game, and I'm glad it maintained a lot of the Star Ocean elements from the series, and I hope Star Ocean 7, if it ever comes out, and if I'm alive when it comes out, I hope it retains, you know, all of those elements. A Welch, you know, a blue-haired protagonist now, and all of that stuff, you know. It's just a very interesting series. Not always. You say when the guy is blonde, there's a blue-haired girl around. Nope. The Divine Force, Leticia, she doesn't have any blue hair. Leticia's hair is like really light purple. Purple, I think it's like... What color is that? Like a really light violet hair. Almost white. And then Elena, she's blonde. And the other girl, what was her name? Nina? Nina, she's brown haired. And I forget her name. Malkia? What was her name? Malkia, something like that, you know. She's Melia. What was her name? Melia, Malkia? Well, she has like purple, violet, light. You know, no blue hair characters in Star Ocean 6. Yeah, Welch, she's like Jean or Vicky from Suikoden. She's always there. Always. She's like immortal. Similar question. What will Persona... Wait a moment. What will Persona 6 main color be in your opinion? Oh yeah, you're right. The Persona games always have some kind of colors, right? For example, Persona 1, I don't know. Persona 2 were like... I mean, Innocent Sin, for example, was like red and black. Kind of similar to Persona 5. And then we got Persona 3, which was blue and white, I think. It depends on the cover. And Persona 4 was yellow and orange, I think. And Persona 5 went back to black and purple and red. So I'm hoping we'll get green. Maybe. Thank you, Jew Jester. He says, keep up the great work. Best JRPG channel on YouTube. Thank you very much for that, man. Thanks for the donation. Really appreciate it. Thanks, man. Thank you, guys. Yeah, it's probably gonna be green or purple. What do you guys want for Persona 6? I just don't want Persona 6 to be another... It's probably gonna be a long-ass game. No. Oh, I hate the art style in music in Persona 5 and I can't play. Are the other Persona games similar? Yes. They all have these, yes. If you didn't like Persona 5, chances are you're not gonna like the others. Maybe play Persona 2, Innocent Sin. It's different. It feels more like a Shin Megami Tensei game than a Persona game, you know. Play 2, I think you're gonna play... I think you're gonna like 2, Persona 2. But 3, 4, and 5 are the same style, music, you know, some hip-hop, some jazz, some blues, some rock, some metal, you know, a mix of all genres, you know. And they're all like high school simulators, you know, you date girls, you hang out with your friends, you increase the power of friendship. Yeah. Purple for Persona 6. Yeah, purple or green, we're definitely getting purple or green. They always stand out in just one. They always have 2 colors, but the main color is just one. And Persona 5 was red, Persona 4 was yellow, and Persona 3 was blue. And Persona 2 Eternal Punishment was pink. I think the color situation didn't exist back then with those games. Pink. And Innocent Sin was also red, I think. So man, maybe Persona 6 will probably be green or purple. Or maybe it'll be brown or gray. Neo Persona. Eric, please do a video on custom party member JRPGs. Custom party member, you mean the ones where you recruit generic characters and you customize them and add them to your party, like all of those dungeon crawlers in first persons that I don't like? Is that what you're asking? Tactics Ogre Reborn video. I probably will if I get a review code for it. I just asked for a review code last night. I should have asked for one 2 weeks ago when it came out. But I just asked for one, and if I get it, I'll probably make a video about it. Favorite Persona soundtrack? Oof, that's... Oof. Damn, man. I don't think I can answer that, you know. There's a lot of killer tracks in every single one of them. Even the first Persona game, however shitty the game is, it has a great soundtrack, you know, but I guess Innocent Sin will probably be my favorite because it has the more metal rock soundtrack, but I don't know, Persona 5, Persona 3, I can't decide, man. I can't decide. Persona 3 PSP was pink. Oh, if you pick the girl, yeah, you're right. He was pink. So we already have a pink one. I don't know. I think colors didn't exist in Persona 2 and below. They weren't even high school simulators. I mean, you play as high school students in Innocent Sin, but there's no simulation, no bonding, no dating, nothing of the sort. That's why I say Persona 2 is more of a Shin Megami Tensei game than a Persona game. What RPG that you can play with another... Oh, RPGs you can play with other players. I have 2 videos on that I did like 3-4 years ago with Oscar. With the 20 best JRPGs with multiplayer couch co-op mode, you know. Some of the Tales games are pretty good. For example, Graces and Berseria have amazing 2-player combat, because others are not so much, you know. Symphonia 2 players is kind of weird in it. No, it's good, but it's not that good. You know, Berseria and Graces have the best 2-player couch co-op mode, you know. Graces and Berseria. Dragon's Crown is the king of them all. One of the best 2-player co-op mode, 4-player co-op mode, you know. Dragon's Crown, any version. You got Dragon Marked for Death. The whole point of the game is to play with somebody else, because if you play Dragon Marked for Death by yourself, it's honestly not that great of a game, but with somebody else it's a blast. Yeah, there's a lot of them, you know. Some of the Final Fantasy games have a 2-player co-op mode, and it's okay. It's fine, it's only during battle, like in the Tales games, but it's okay. Eternal Sonata, believe it or not, Eternal Sonata has a 3-player co-op mode. Only during battle, of course, you know, but it's fun, and it works great. No camera issues, because it's a turn-based RPG. There's no camera issues, you know. And then there's more. Go watch those videos, man. Even Valkyrie Profile 2 has a 2-player co-op mode, but it sucks. Astral Chain has a 2-player co-op mode, it fucking sucks. Do you really love Persona 5 because it's stylish? That's one of the reasons why I love the game, but I also like the fact that its gameplay mechanics are just so addictive, and that its soundtrack is marvelously, you know. And I really like a lot of characters. You know, the main character looked interesting. He looked nerdy and geeky. He looked like a gamer, like all of us. In fact, it's the one character that represents gamers the most. And then the cat, Morgana. I loved Morgana and Makoto. Sure, there are characters that I didn't really care for, like Anne. She's just fan service. She's just eye candy for me. But her personality-wise, she's like, And Persona 3, baby. I hate that fucking battle theme. Persona 3 has the worst regular battle theme in the entire series. Even the one from Persona 1 is better. Both versions, the PSP remaster and the original version. Yeah, Persona 3 has the worst battle theme of all the series, man. I hate it. The boss battle theme is amazing, though. It's better, you know. But yeah, the baby. Oh, fuck that song, man. That's my one and only gripe with Persona 3. And it's my favorite. Have you played Dragon's Dogma? Yes, on the PlayStation 3, the vanilla version, a long time ago. I don't know why back then I couldn't get into it. I've been waiting to give that game a second chance. Did you play any of the Dot Hack games? I'm a massive fan of Dot Hack. The original games are not that great, but Dot Hack GU, I'm a massive fan, man. You're new to this channel, huh? If you're asking that question, because Dot Hack Geo Trilogy is a series of games, and I'm pretty sure some of the guys in the chat will tell you, will confirm that. It's a game that I've recommended to death in this channel. Lots of times. I'm always going on about it. Oh, listen, Star Ocean 2 music. Some JRPGs are way too underrated. I agree, there's a lot of them. I think the genre itself is kind of underrated, even though I think in the past few years it's become very mainstream. I think a lot of people play JRPGs who 10 years ago didn't like the genre. Oscar, my friend, is a good example of a guy that hated JRPGs 10 years ago. And nowadays, he's not the biggest fan of them yet, but he's played and finished some of them. He enjoys a few of the genre, especially action RPGs. But 70% of the genre, I'd say it's still underrated, You know the video that I did a couple of days ago called 10 JRPGs that are no longer hidden gems. They're not hidden gems anymore. I don't know if you guys watched that video. But for the average gamer, those 10 games are still like hidden gems. They've never heard of them. They don't know them. Right? But for JRPG players who have been playing RPGs for a while, they know them. That's why I don't think they're hidden gems anymore. But yeah, I think the genre itself is still kind of underrated. Only the big names are popular, like Tales, Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, Persona, maybe Fire Emblem. Yeah, but you just talk to the average gamer about Dot Hack, or about Wild Arms, or about Shin Megami Tensei, Atelier, Xenoblade. Well, maybe Xenoblade is too popular too. Xenoblade is very popular too. But Xenosaga, or you go and mention, I don't know, Lost Odyssey, The Last Story, some of the older Fire Emblem games, they don't know what the fuck you're talking about. What's that? They're gonna say. Oh, I know, I love Persona, but Shin Megami Tensei? What the hell is that? Never heard of it. What do you think about marriage? I support marriage a lot. I want to get married, but I don't have a girlfriend right now. Or maybe I do. I know I'm already married. Maybe the random encounters are the reason. It could be. Or just the fact that they don't see a lot of point in turn-based RPGs like, oh, I attack you and you attack me. Some people find that dumb. We don't, because we love them, of course. Have you only finished Vanilla Persona 5, or have you played Royal as well? I have played Royal, but I never finished it because I don't own it. I've only finished Vanilla Persona 5. I didn't like Tales of Arise, as the second half was trash to me. Will I find Berseria or Exilia more enjoyable? Definitely. You know what? Berseria and Exilia are... The second half is the best half. Arise, I love the second half, but I agree with you in a sense that the first half of Arise was more interesting, because the second half the game goes the Star Ocean, it's kind of weird. I love Arise. I really enjoy the entire game, but I can see where you're coming from. Yeah, Berseria and especially Exilia, the second half is much better. Exilia is very short, actually. Exilia is a game you can beat in like 20 hours. If you stick to the main story, you can beat the game. It's very short. It's one of the shortest Tales games. But it's every minute's worth it. And in fact, Exilia and Berseria, in my opinion, are better games than Arise. Will you ever make your own game? If so, what kind? Well, definitely I would love to make a strategy RPG. A grid-based strategy RPG, a la Fire Emblem, man. Or if at least something like Suikoden, with 3 different battle systems, I'd love to make a game like that and implement some gothic and dark style of gameplay. I made a video a long time ago, nobody watched it, but it's there. In case you want to know what my dream RPG will be like, or the type of RPG that I would like to do. There's a video like that. What RPGs do you find repeatable? Repeatable, repetitive, Monster Hunter, for example. The God Eater series, I love the God Eater series, but those are kind of repetitive. The majority of dungeon crawlers in first person, like Etrian Odyssey, those games I find them extremely repetitive. Well, the ones where your whole party is generic, like Grand Kingdom, for example, was kind of repetitive. Repetitive doesn't mean bad. Not all the time, Just give me 1 second. Thank you, Kansad. Thanks for the detailed response. You're welcome. Thanks for joining and asking questions. Do you have faith in YouTube? No. No, I don't. But YouTube is the reason why we're all here together. And it's the reason why I'm making a living out of this channel. So, but faith? Oh, man. What do you think about the classic Might and Magic games? I'm not a fan. I've never played a single one of them, actually. I have played this one that I'm a massive fan of, but this is not one of the classic ones. This is a puzzle strategy game that this is strongly recommended. Love this game, but the classic Might and Magic games from the 80s and 90s, I haven't played them. Oh, you meant replayable, not repetitive or repeatable. Well, I made a video called 10 JRPGs with massive replay value. I think one's favorite games are the most replayable, the ones that you really, really, really loved. In my case, Chrono Cross, Devil Survivor, Valkyrie Profile 1 and 2, a lot of the Fire Emblem games, Suikoden games, those are the ones that have the most replay value to me because they're my favorite games. Any Western licenses you would like to see a JRPG of? Not really. Maybe a JRPG based on The Witcher. That would be interesting. A turn-based RPG based on The Witcher. I don't know. What's your name of your dream RPG video? It is just that, you can't find it. I'm pretty sure you can find if you type Erick Landon Dream RPG video. It was a failure, the video, Nobody cared. It's hard to find. There you go, you just find Erick Landon Dream RPG video and there you go. It has a picture of my girl from Code Vein. And you'll probably see it. Have you heard any more news about the Dragon Quest III remake? Nope, I haven't heard anything. Which JRPG storytelling you recommend if someone who is uncomfortable with symbolism? Oh, you mean like... So that means Shin Megami Tensei is not for you. Well, there's a lot of them, You could, and nothing religious and nothing of the sort. It's hard, Chrono Cross might be one of them. Play the remaster. Is Tales of Vesperia one of the better Tales games? It's one of the most popular games. It's not one of my favorites, but yeah, it's close to being one of the best. Tales, Vesperia is probably one of my 5 or 6 favorite Tales games, so yeah, it's up there. Did you ever get Growlancer 6 to work on your PS2? Nope. I downloaded the ROM from CD Romance on my memory card. I forget the name of the software, but I can't make it work. Which JRPG would you like to see a live-action, big-budget movie adaptation of? That's a cool question, man. I don't know. A JRPG based on a live-action movie? How about a big budget? You mean like those Marvel movies, you know? Okay, I don't care for them. I don't know. I've never thought about that. Can't think of anyone. Of any movie. Any big budget movie. How about a JRPG based on the Alien franchise? Will that make sense? No, probably not. Maybe Predator? A turn-based RPG based on Predator. Or Alien. I'm sure someone out there will make it work. Right? Or the Terminator, or RoboCop. An action RPG maybe, based on those. How about that, huh? Any tip on surviving the combat system in Zestiria? Play it on easy. I went through the same. I started playing Zestiria on normal, and the battle system was like, fuck. I ended up playing the entire game on easy mode, and that's how I enjoyed it. Game of Thrones in a Fire Emblem style? I'm not a fan of Game of Thrones. I haven't watched it, but maybe, yeah. Which do you like better and why? Grandia 1 or 2? I like Grandia 2 more because it felt darker and a little bit more mature. It's still a lot of comedy in there, you know, but 1 felt more childish, more like the more charming, you know. And I'm more of a dark story type of person, you know, and I love Ryudo. Nothing against Justin, he's an interesting protagonist, but Ryudo is a better protagonist, you know, because he's a dick. He's a freaking jerk at the beginning, and then he has this bird, and the chemistry and the relationship between his bird and Ryudo, you know, it's just... yeah. You gotta go, guys. What are some movies you like? My favorite movie of all time is The Thin Red Line. You know, World War II movie. That's my favorite movie of all time. I also like, big fan of Fight Club. Interview with the Vampire, The Crow. Anything David Lynch, Mulholland Drive. Inland Empire, Lost, Highway. Those are among my most favorite movies. Mulholland Drive as a JRPG. What? How? No. Have you ever played Mass Effect? Yes, I did. Only the first one, and I didn't like it. I know everybody tells me to play the second one, but it's the same story. There's no point in playing story-wise Mass Effect 2 without playing the first one, so that kind of ruined it for me. Yeah. Alright, guys, you know, I gotta go because my dad forgot that I'm live. And I'm having a Q&A, but it was about to end anyway. Last questions. Which JRPG story would you like to see a movie of? Oh, a movie based on a JRPG? None. They always fuck up movies based on video games, man. Every time. So no, I would never like to see a movie based on a JRPG. And there's the Final Fantasy movie, you know? And Legends, whatever, you know, it fucking sucks. So no, thanks. That's the last question. And yes, I liked Alter Code F more than Wild Arms, the original. That's the last one. Thanks for watching, everybody. It was a pleasure to have you here. We'll see you in 15 days for the next goddamn Q&A. Thanks, everybody.